identity has a name also. We'll call it guilt. And it was planted in elementary school. Well, guess what? Those guys all just went up in smoke a few minutes ago. And their replacements, self-love and freedom, have already started to move into town. Wonder what it'll be like to organize my life around these new residents. I know one thing. I'll have a whole lot more time and energy. You see, I'm coming to the realization that sincerely letting go means no longer allowing myself to spend time fretting about my problems and issues, or planning how to get everything done, or worrying about stuff I can't control. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. This is going to be opening up a great space in my mind and heart. God help me. A void has been created. And this is what I have been trying to avoid for a long time. When we walked up to the burning bowl a few minutes ago, whether we were fully conscious of it or not, we were making a decision to allow our higher self to take charge of our ego, even though we have been around the block enough times to know that the ego will fight back. It took courage to do this. It took faith in the God power within us, that it would be equal to the challenge. Marianne Williamson says that the thing we fear most is our greatness, beauty, and power. Well, this morning we took a stand for those things. Phew, that is a big thing to do. And I say if we really meant it, we better fasten our seatbelts because things are going to change. There is a whole new ride ahead for those of us who are all in. So what will we do with the time and energy we used to spend trying to work out or work around our money, relationship, career, health, and logistical issues, those things that have defined us? Good question. Oh yeah, you do know that the void contains a lot more questions than it does answers, don't you? But instead of making resolutions that will fail or fall by the wayside within a week or two, we could let today be the day that we create a new vision. One that has nothing at all to do with fixing anything or solving any problem. Spiritual teacher Joe Dispenza taught us that we have to have a new identity if we want to create a new reality. So, okay, this is a process. But then our lives could turn on a dime if we could go into 2020 acting as if our fears, problems, obstacles, and shortcomings have vanished just like they did in that burning bowl. If we could enter into the new year acting as if our identity has changed, and acting as if our new identity has now taken charge, acting as if until this new identity has put down deep roots and the new reality has begun to bear good fruit. To begin with, let's call upon our power of imagination. Suppose we are no longer too old, too fat, too poor, too sick, too dumb, too uneducated, too depressed, too busy, too burdened, you name it. Let's just imagine that we are free and clear of all those things, and what remains is this pulsing mass of energy. Pure potential waiting like a powerful sports car idling in neutral, waiting for direction from its divine driver, waiting to take us wherever we want to go. From this place, where there's nothing wrong and nothing lacking, what would you do with your life? What would you do for the sheer joy of it? What energizes you and causes you to lose track of time? What is so natural that it feels effortless? And looking out, I see smiles on some of your faces. Yeah, what are the things that when you think about them just make you naturally smile? In a world where money is God and fancy stuff is the measure of self-esteem, it's hard to imagine that what you love could become the predominant activity of your life. And that it is also the gateway to your greatness and prosperity. Many of us have somehow learned that in order to be successful, we must sacrifice what we love the most. Well, I don't believe the universe works that way. God did not make a mistake when he made us the way we are with the gifts that we have and the challenges and the whole bag. Perhaps the most life-changing gift I have ever received came from my first Unity minister, Helise Green, who told me that the desire of my heart is God's will for me. In one amazing moment of insight, the sense of separation from God that was planted in early childhood was blown away. It's a convoluted thing that most of us, in my generation at least, were conditioned to work the hardest at fulfilling what we perceive to be our responsibilities. Rarely, if ever, did anyone tell us to put most of our energy into what is the most fun and the most natural. Yet the greatest musicians, artists, and athletes have done this very thing. Did Tiger Woods spend most of his time training for a real career in case golfing didn't work out? Does anyone care what grades Yo-Yo Ma got in college? Does anyone know if Georgia O'Keeffe died wealthy? I suspect that if you were to ask any great artist why he or she chose a career in art or music or sports, he or she would look at you strangely. Choose a career? Why, I paint because I must. I play golf because I have to. I make music because music is my life. On Christmas Eve, Sepp and I had lunch with friends, and one of them asked me if I thought ministry was a calling or a career. And the question made me smile because it immediately brought up a memory from early days in seminary. I recalled being in a discussion group, in which the question was, why are you here? Listening and watching everyone share, the thought came to me that it was very easy to tell who felt called to ministry and who thought of it as a career change. It was an intangible difference, but it was very clear and real. I think the difference is all about the heart, don't you? For me, it was unthinkable that I would ever do anything else. Being a minister was just a fact of nature. Interesting that none of my classmates, my career change classmates, lasted in ministry longer than 5 years. Now be aware that your heart's response to this question may not always be something you are to do. Perhaps your heart wants you to know who you would be if you were not obsessed with worry or problem solving or survival. A couple of days ago, I received a Facebook post, you might have seen it too, from the wonderful Ram Dass, which said, "The world is obsessed with doing. Yet when faith is strong enough, it is sufficient just to be. Learning to rest in pure being is a journey towards simplicity, quietness, and a kind of joy that transcends time. He writes, it's a journey that takes us from primary identification with our body and our psyche to identification with God and ultimately beyond identification itself. Somewhere along the way, we became convinced that we were supposed to be ruled by our brains. Well, the brain is great for storing and processing information. It's like a big hard drive. But that's about it. As a decision maker and a guide, it is very limited. You see, the brain can only process data and programs already loaded into it. It forms judgments, makes comparisons, draws conclusions based on this information, all of which was entered in the past, and much of which was wrong to begin with. And so when something new comes along, some new idea, if the brain can find the right category in there, it slips it right into that category. And the old ideas come up over top of it. So what if we decide today to turn in an entirely new direction? That is a direction that I call creative thought. We have people, who are down on thinking altogether. I'm not. I just think there are many kinds of thinking. I'm talking about that realm of creative thought. If you are doing that today, beware, your brain is going to send you warning signals that you have gone off course. The brain cannot dream, cannot sense the truth, cannot love, and the idea of joy doesn't even occur to it. Yet you and I have been taught that brain power is the highest form of intelligence. I think, therefore I am. Remember Descartes? What if we've been misled? If our lives are based solely on what our brains think makes sense, I'm afraid we're living in a false reality planted by someone else a long time ago. Yes, folks, sorry to say there is fake news, and it's being broadcast from inside us. So if there is a heaviness in your heart, which you have tried to escape by running from one diversion to the next, stop. No matter how young or old you are, you may be having a midlife crisis. I'm thinking this morning about my youngest son, John, who turned 45 last summer and went out and purchased himself an 850 horsepower Corvette. A car so powerful it comes with a week-long driving class. John has worked very hard and is by all the world's measures a success. He craved a symbol of that success. But my interpretation of the great car buy is that he knows that there is something greater possible for him, but he is not yet aware that this something greater is inside him. He's the perfect example of one who is pulsing with energy and potential while at the same time feeling run down and burned out by the rat race. So he purchased the most fulfilling reward he could imagine. The thing is, he does not yet know that the Corvette will not take him where he wants to go. And he does not yet know that there is a divine driver within him that knows exactly where greater fulfillment lies. My bet is that as the Corvette's magic wanes, he will come to know these things. A lot of us are in transition due to aging, loss, health, or relationship issues, job, and life changes. So my usual question, once again, what you've probably heard from me a dozen times, is what if nothing's wrong? What if all these changes, whether planned or unplanned, pleasant or difficult, are invitations to a greater reality? Is it true at last? Is it time For your life to revolve around your heart's desires or what your brain tells you you must do? So the question I'm going to leave you with this morning, as we stand on the threshold of a new year, is this: what really matters? Robert Frost wrote, "Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference." Fire is a symbol of purification. A few minutes ago, we burned up papers on which we had written the things we wished to release. That burning symbolized our sincere willingness to let those things go and turn in a new direction. The slate is now clean. We have created a void, an opening. The road lies ahead as pure possibility. So now, are you ready to allow your intuition to take you on a journey into the future? Through the sounds of the beautiful flute, Billy is going to lead us into a time of reflection on possibilities. The invitation does not interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ate for. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have been opened by life's betrayals or have become shriveled and closed for fear of pain. I want to know if you can be with joy, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning yourself to be careful, to be realistic, or to remember your limitation. So now I invite you to allow your heart to take you into a memory of a time when you felt fully alive, at home in your own skin, free and happy. You might have been a child when this occurred. And if you can't think of anything right now, create an image of what that would look like. That dream can be simple or great. It can be creating a business or walking the beach. It doesn't matter. It's your life. Let the pictures arise. Your heart will take you into your center where your dreams are waiting for you. So now it's time to put your vision, to put what comes up into words. And we'll do this in the form of a letter to ourselves. No one else is going to ever see this letter. We're going to collect them here and hold them for you for half a year, and then we're going to return them to you to remind you of what came up from your heart at this moment. Remember, this is not about anything in you that needs fixing. It's all about what brings you the greatest joy and satisfaction. So you'll find that paper, that rule paper, in your bulletin. You can take it out. You have a Christmas gift there on your row, a little calendar from Unity. Use that to lean on. And I'm going to invite you to write your letter from an energy of affirmation. State your vision as though it has already happened. I'm going to invite you to say, "Dear self, I am so happy and grateful now that." I am so happy and grateful now that. Fill in the blank. You're going to have plenty of time to do this. Take your time.